Welcome back to another episode of No Bolts Left Behind. Today, I want to get this 50-something-year-old engine in my 1968 Mustang, the original engine, fired up and running on computer-controlled fuel injection for the very first time. In the last few episodes, I got the Holley Sniper EFI kit pretty much all hooked up and ready to go. I uncovered a few problems along the way, so I want to fix those really quick before I try and start this thing. I have a feeling like this engine might have been sitting for a few years, maybe even a few decades. So there's a few issues with the engine that I definitely need to address before trying to drive this thing again. So I'm gonna fix those real quick and we're gonna try and start this thing up. And by the end of the episode, maybe we can take this thing on a drive. All right, let's get started. All right, so I do have a little bit of a problem here with the cooling system. I first noticed it when I took off this radiator hose to replace it, and this thing is like super rusty. Well, I thought it was super rusty, but then I took off this heater hose here and this thing is crazy rusty. Like, it's deteriorating and I'm sure it's pushing a lot of rust through the system. So I did get a new thermostat housing. I did get a couple of new fittings and I got new radiator hoses. And I kind of had a thought that maybe this thing had become one with the water pump. I'm sure that this won't come out without a fight. So I went ahead and got a new water pump as well. I also got a couple of new belts because these belts are really actually in terrible condition. So we're pretty much just going to replace everything, everything on the front of this engine here. And we'll be good for a good long while with new hoses and a new water pump. All right, I got everything installed. New radiator hoses, water pump, thermostat housing, a couple of new belts, good to go. And so there's one last thing I need to do before we attempt to fire this thing up for the first time. And that's weld in an oxygen sensor or an O2 sensor here in the exhaust. And I was looking into what it would take to get this whole exhaust system out, and unfortunately whoever installed this exhaust, whoever hacked in this exhaust, because there's a lot of like crazy welds in here and a lot of reductions of pipe sizes, of course they didn't clamp it anywhere, so it's all one piece all the way up over the axle, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get this entire exhaust out easily. So what I think I might do is use this piece that was supplied by the Holley kit. This is supposed to be like a no weld thing. Since this exhaust is pretty old and not very high quality, I'll probably be replacing it at some point anyway. So I think I'll go ahead and give this thing a try. The idea is just to cut a hole or drill a hole in your exhaust, about 3/4 inch. Put this guy on there, clamp it down, and supposedly that makes a good enough seal. All right, I got all 6 new spark plugs installed, and I did install the old spark plug wires, but I didn't realize that this is kind of a different wire end for the distributor side than the factory one, because of course I upgraded this distributor here, so I'll have to get some new cables for sure for that guy. It's probably a good idea anyway, since these are questionable, but for now I think that should work for testing, and maybe good enough to get this thing fired up anyway. All right, so we got, I put some distilled water in this guy for now. Got the oil topped off, got all the spark plug wires on, and I'm pretty sure that this is in the right direction, the rotor here. I made sure to match what it was when I took it off, so we'll see how the timing comes out. It's still loose right now, so it certainly won't fire up really that great at first, but we'll try and dial in the timing once it's going. So before I fire this up, the very last thing I have to do is really quick go through the setup for this Holley Sniper EFI setup. So I have the screen in the passenger glove box area. So let's jump in there and we'll go through the settings, and then we'll see if this guy fires up. All right, so we got the screen here, and let's turn this key on and see if it fires up. Whoa, okay. I turned it a little too far, but I do see the screen show up. Awesome. All right, let's see here. Step 1, calibration. Auto light 110, 1100. Number of cylinders 6. Engine displacement 200, big ones. 200. Stock cam and coil type. I believe just coil negative is the right one there for my setup. Ooh, heard something. Please cycle the ignition to complete the operation. All right, here the fuel prime.
There was a little bit of smoke that came out, yeah. This doesn't smell good. Hold on a second.
Okay, I think we might have a little bit of a timing problem. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank this thing over. I'm going to find top dead center and double check that we have the correct angle on this guy. It could be that it's reversed 180 degrees or something like that. All right, so we found top dead center, which I just put a screwdriver into cylinder 1 and found out where the screwdriver comes all the way up to the top, and then also you got to make sure that it's on its compression stroke. So when you do that, when the cylinder is approaching the top, you got to put your finger in there and make sure you feel air being pushed out. That's how I find top dead center. So that means that that's the place where cylinder 1 should fire, very close to it, which means that this rotor needs to be pointed towards cylinder 1 on that exact point. And if you can see here, I am very far off from that. So the distributor goes on there more or less like this. Cylinder 1's all the way over here, and it's pointing at whatever this guy is, cylinder 3. So we're off by I don't know what that is, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. I'm not sure how that got so far out of whack, but we'll correct it now. I just got to pull this distributor back out and basically point it towards this vacuum advance thing here.
Right?
All right, awesome. It started. It sounded pretty good. And it was idling a little bit high, but seemed to be idling actually pretty good. That's pretty incredible. I just like a few settings on this computer here, and just make sure you get your distributor pointed in the right direction, and this thing fires right up. It does look like I have a little bit of a water leak here from the thermostat housing, so I don't know, I maybe didn't tighten that down enough or something like that. But otherwise, I think it's time to dial in the timing, and we'll see if we can get this this idling at a normal RPM. All right, I got this thing dialed in. I did electrocute myself with a spark plug wire, and it's not the first time that's happened, and it won't be the last time that's happened. But we got this thing dialed in pretty good. I mean, it's still idling a little high, I think. Actually, I can probably check the computer on that screen. It should tell me what my RPM is, but it was smoking a lot. A lot is an understatement. It was smoking an insane amount. It looks like maybe oil. It could be running rich or maybe a little bit of everything. So I'll definitely have to look into that. I'm curious what my air fuel mixture looks like on this thing. And I don't know, hopefully it's just burning off oil that was accumulated over the course of this sitting. We'll deal with that later. That's tomorrow Barry's problem. But I'm excited that this thing runs, and seems to run pretty good too. I feel like it might even be able to take a spin. Well, I should probably figure out this water leak here, and maybe take a look at the computer and see what things look like. So I'll get to it. Correct. All right, some good news. It looks like it was just this hose clamp right here that wasn't tightened down all the way. So went ahead and tightened it real quick, and it looks good. So I guess that's all of the problems. I don't really think there's anything else seriously wrong. You know, there is some oil leakage, a few other things, but I think it might be time to take this thing on a quick little test drive around the block. One thing really quick before I do that, kind of looks like I got this water pump belt on the wrong notch here, or on the wrong pulley groove, so I should definitely fix that real quick so I don't throw this belt off. All right, that went pretty well, actually. The transmission seemed to be struggling a little bit, so I wonder if it's low on fluid. I should definitely check that out. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the, I think, Type F Ford transmission fluid. All I have is like the Dexron stuff, so I guess I gotta run to the store and grab some of that anyway. Other than the transmission kind of working half the time, it seemed to run a lot better than it was before. Definitely a lot of smoke coming out of this thing though. I don't know if that's because it's running very rich. I was keeping an eye on my air to fuel ratio with this little Holley screen here, and it seemed like when I accelerated, the air to fuel mix would get down to like the 10s and the 9s, and I know it's supposed to be, you know, around 13 or 14. I guess that's what tuning is. Hopefully there's something I can do about that in the settings there. So I was reminded of how terrible these brakes were. I definitely do need to get on this front disc brake kit sooner rather than later. So I think that might be the next big thing that I do. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this thing. It definitely seems to have enough power to, you know, get up to speed now. No terrible, you know, hesitation problems anymore. So I'll say a huge improvement over that messed up whatever carburetor situation I had before. No leaks that I'm seeing, you know, nothing significant anyway, for sure. Oh, I spoke too soon. Looks like there's a leak in the front. Looks like water. I guess that water leak is back. Yep, I can see a little drip right down here. Actually, you know, it looks like it's coming from this guy right here. Yep, this is loose. All right, I guess I just need to tighten that guy down really quick. All right. Hopefully that solves the leak. Otherwise, first drive, huge success. All right, well, that's it for this episode. I'm definitely excited to have this thing running again, and better than it was before, for sure. There's still a few issues I need to work out. Definitely, it seems like there's a very loud squeaking noise coming from somewhere up front whenever I prime the fuel pump. And I thought maybe that was air trying to get out of the line at first, but it seems to do it every single time I start it up. So, you know, I feel like it should have bled out by now, all of the air. So we'll have to figure that out. And it definitely smokes a lot. So I don't want to leave a cloud of smoke where every time I leave from like a stoplight. And the oil leak is a little bit concerning as well. And I'm starting to think that maybe the transmission has an issue. So hopefully adding fluid to it and maybe fixing a seal or something will solve that problem. We'll see. That's a lot of maybes. So I guess we'll have to start addressing those. But it runs on fuel injection, and it actually runs pretty well. So that's good. I'm ending this one on a high note for sure. All right. See you next week.